This is the Hannibal podcast on TV Podcast Industries, Season 3, Episode 8, The Great Red Dragon. Welcome back, Fannibals. This is Hannibal on TV Podcast Industries, the podcast about the hit TV show Hannibal. I am one of your cowering, dragony hosts, John.
And I'm your other equally cowering dragon, Irene.
But a female dragon, obviously. I'm the male dragon, you're the female dragon.
Dragoness.
Yeah, and we are your fine young dragons, and we're here to delve from the tableau to the table and everything in between for Season 3 of Hannibal, the incredibly tasty and disturbing and now tattooey and false teethy TV series. This week we're going to look at Episode 8, which was entitled The Great Red Dragon. And that's really interesting, actually, because ultimately this has been done 2 times before on film. And of course, then there's the book. And that's going to be interesting to see what kind of lens that this storyline is going to be shot through, really.
Yeah, they can choose to focus on different bits, maybe, or maybe they won't. And they'll just show it as a more kind of a complete piece with 3 seasons together.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm thinking, like, they've got more time to explore it. They've essentially got kind of like 6-7 hours of the rest of the season 3 to kind of delve in and really go through this story, these interactions, the relationship, which, of course, the films certainly, had 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours to do the same kind of thing. So that would be really good.
And they seems to be kind of already speeding through it because they've already set up, Hannibal in the room and he's speaking to people who are sitting in the chair outside. And, I was like, oh, it's great that it's there already.
Yeah.
Because, obviously we didn't know. You just see him being declared insane at the start and...
Exactly. And of course, we will also have that great sort of background time that we've had with Hannibal and Will Graham. Like 2.5 seasons of knowing their relationship, their bromance and everything in between. And that is going to be really good for telling this story as well. Like you made the point about the ending where they come together. It's kind of imbued with so much more meaning now that we've had 2.5 seasons of Hannibal.
Yeah, instead of, Clarice Starling and it's, she's going to speak to him and as far as she's not met him before and, it doesn't seem like she has in the film. But obviously Will standing there going to speak to him is, apart from the whole Will going back to meet him, like, as you said, like 2.5 seasons before that of their history and how close they became and how, their whole relationship.
Yeah, exactly. It just imbues the whole scene with so much more meaning because you know what that means to Will and Hannibal.
Yeah.
And it contrasts obviously very nicely with the end of episode 7. Like, it's almost a bit like it's the start of season 4.
Yeah.
It is like a stop, fast forward play and we're starting a season 4. It's like season 3 is 2 seasons in one in terms of story. So that's interesting to see how that will go. And it seems to be paced a bit differently now, I think.
Absolutely. Like, I really thought that it really seemed like a new season. Season 3, the first part is standalone. The style of it was different. They didn't have the, case by case thing. They'd gone away from that completely in season 3. And this episode seemed to be a return to that kind of a format, which is great because that works so well. Like,
absolutely.
My friend in work, Paula, she said to me that she had just been enduring. She's like, at this stage, I'm just enduring it, Irene. And I kept saying to her, no, please stick with it. Like,
yeah.
And she's like, oh no, I'm not going to stop watching it, but I'm just I'm not sure how much longer I can hang in there. Like, when I said to her, had you seen episode 8? And she was like, that's it. Like, it's back to the episodes that she loved, and
that's
which
great.
Kind of makes me sad in a way. But yeah, I'm delighted that if more people feel like that, then Save Hannibal will be completely underway, you know?
Absolutely, and that's great because I mean I think you made the point with I think it was episode 2 of this season where if you just came to that cold, you would kind of okay, I've got no frame of reference as to what's gone before, and I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen next, or whether I even want to know what happens next. I mean, for you and I, it was just as good, as some of the other episodes. It was really a good exposition of Hannibal, Will Graham, Mason Verger, but it was different. It was very different, and that was challenging to our podcast because of how we'd set it up based on seasons 2 and 1, and there was a slight change there. So it's interesting that it's coming back, almost coming full circle to what it was doing previously, and I think probably let's not get ahead of ourselves, so should we. And it's just to say that obviously, if you listened in last week, this is a mature podcast, sometimes with fruity language. And so there will be swearing, discussions about murders, gore, horror topics, and quite possibly large amounts of Richard Armitage discussion and how he likes to stay in a loft and stay naked or partially naked or flex his muscles or do a bit of sewing.
I'm hoping there'll be more of that, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Or turn into a projector. So it was really just a quick warning because, yes, we did have quite a fruity language fest, I think, last week with talks of overcooked body parts. But I think this will be a different kind of discussion this week. But as you know, we are TV Podcast Industries, and you can find and listen to us at www.tvpodcastindustries.com/iTunes. Please go in there and subscribe to listen to our podcast. Or you can go to any other good podcast catcher, such as Stitcher or Player FM. Just search TV Podcast Industries. You can also, of course, listen to us on our website at www.tvpodcastindustries.com.
And of course, you can send us in feedback or comments on each episode at feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com. And in each episode of the podcast, we'll look at the murder tableau for each episode, followed by our 3 main favourite points from each episode: an entree, main course and dessert. And finally, we take a look at Hannibal's table or somebody else's table and the food that they've enjoyed.
Absolutely. And there was certainly some food being enjoyed this week. Definitely. Most definitely. This week, there is no feedback. There is no In the Psychiatrist's Chair. But remember, as Irene said, send in your thoughts and feedback, certainly on this episode, just to see really what you thought of The Great Red Dragon, and in particular Richard Armitage, who obviously last time out on the big screen, he was hunting a dragon, trying to kill it, and now he's trying to transform into a dragon and become one. So it's a nice little motif that he's beginning to get, which is he's kind of typecast as a dragon-y kind of person. Not really.
And with that, we move on to the synopsis. John, take it away.
Thank you. This episode, Season 3, Episode 8, Hannibal, The Great Red Dragon, directed by Neil Marshall and written by Nick Antosca and Steve Lightfoot and Brian Fuller. 3 years after Hannibal surrendered to the FBI at Will Graham's home in Wolf Trap, Virginia, he has been imprisoned and institutionalized for 3 years at the Baltimore State Hospital for the criminally insane, now under the administration of Alanna Bloom. However, a new devil, whose inspiration are Blake's paintings of the Great Red Dragon, has emerged, and is intent on transforming from his mortal self via the cycle of the moon. Known as the Tooth Fairy due to the prevalence of bites on his female victims, Francis Dolarhyde terrorizes perfect families in perfect neighborhoods, attacking the American dream. But after a second brutal and horrific murder of another middle-class family, Jack Crawford, still at the FBI, must reach out to Will to help track down and catch this vicious serial killer. As the investigation begins to unfold, Will, using his own special skill set, reenacts the killing in his mind. As Price, Zeller, and Graham team up, they determine that the killer placed pieces of broken mirror in the eyes of the victims so he could look at and into himself. However, with these troubling revelations, Graham finds he must consult with a former colleague. Dun, 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 dun. Dun.
Thank God he's going to consult with him.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, just quickly, for me, one of the standout things here is that Neil Marshall is directing. I'm a big fan of Neil Marshall. In film, he did Dog Soldiers, which was a low-budget British kind of horror. But he also did The Descent, which was remade because it was amazing. In fact, I would say that I almost got the same kind of response to The Descent as I got from The Silence of the Lambs. It is a truly terrifying film, or it was for me at least. But he's a proper horror director with horror sensibilities. And people may know him more recently for his TV work, actually. He's done 2 of the very big, epic episodes of the Game of Thrones. Blackwater, which was the Battle of Blackwater, and The Watchers on the Wall, which was the big battle at the Wall in Westeros. And then he's also done another favourite of mine, which was Constantine. Unfortunately, again, hashtag save Constantine. Let's make sure we get that onto CW's Arrow, or even renewed. But he did Non-Est Asylum, the pilot, and he also did another episode of that Rage of Caliban. So he's got some really, he fits into this kind of scary, mythical genre really well, I would think, and I think it's a good choice for the episode,
especially for the first time we're seeing the Red Dragon.
Yeah, definitely, and he definitely brought, I think, a different type of pacing onto the show. I think even the first 15 minutes was pretty much in silence.
Yeah.
So that was a nice, interesting touch to have, and I think it really helped let this change of location, story really just bed in quite nicely. But I think with that, I think we should move on to the tableau, the murder tableau. Irene.
Oh, the tableau. I have to say the strings with the blood spatter.
Oh yeah.
Not just when Will is standing, obviously, and the strings are coming out evenly behind him, and it looks like the dragon's wings. I thought that was a great scene. But even when he walks into the room first and you can see them, and it just seems to be everywhere. They're coming from the wall to the bed and then going from the bed to the walls and outside in the hall even. It's pretty horrific.
Yeah.
And trying to picture what happened. Obviously, you don't know anything about the Red Dragon. So when Will does his getting into his mind and, this is my design. This is my design is back as well. That was good. Yeah,
absolutely. It was like, yay! This is my design is back.
Hashtag this is my design.
Yeah, with the I know it's supposed to be the wiping of his mind, but I always just think it's a windscreen wiper on a car. But that came back. But I must say I liked the touch that they had with the torch. Actually,
yeah.
I thought that was a great little effect where, as they shone the torchlight, it picked up the bodies, and then as it moved away, they disappeared.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really neat little bit of filming and a great idea. I loved that, and I thought. Originally, when that had happened, I thought that was replacing "This Is My Design" with the windscreen wiper, but
with the change in style.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a change in style, but I thought it was amazing little touch, and I really liked it. I thought it added to the scene because it is so disturbing because it's a family. I mean,
yeah, and the dad struggling to get out and everything is just horrible.
Yeah, and just the kid, like having kids involved.
Yeah,
I suppose as well, and it all, as it's rewinding in Will's head and as it's playing back again, it's the idea that even though the dad is like absolutely fatally injured, he's trying to save his two kids, his two children. And like, it is quite brutal and efficient how Will sees Dolarhyde's movements, in that it is literally, it's gunshots to the head or to the body, a couple or three of them fired off, and then the other one dragged from under the bed and again shot quite clinically, because he's wanting to have his moment with their mum and with the wife of Mr. Leeds, the family. So it was pretty disturbing, I thought.
It really, really was. Even her, the mum as well, like, she's been shot and he said the bullet lodged in her lumbar spine. Like, the pain of that. So obviously she can't really move, but she's still trying. She's crawling towards the end of the bed. And I just thought that was horrible. And then, like, both of them are still alive. They know he's left the room. They obviously are aware that he's going to kill the kids. And maybe both of them were still alive and even heard the shots. They probably, it's like, I thought that was horrible.
One of the things, though, I did hear, because I've actually started on the trip down to Wicklow from Dublin at the weekend. I decided I took down the audiobooks of Red Dragon and Hannibal and Silence of the Lambs. So I actually started listening to it. So I'm 4 chapters in, because it's about an hour. And it was really interesting just quite how closely and how much they do draw on the books and how faithful it is. There's the whole thing with the bite out of the cheese, the mini Baby Bell.
Oh, really? Even down to stuff like that?
Well, not that it was mini Baby Bell.
Well, it was.
But that the bite out of the cheese.
Okay.
The whole thing with the talcum powder from the gloves, and that was on her thigh, and all this kind of stuff. And even the cut window. As he does it with the suction pump and all that. So it was really kind of faithful to the book, and I thought that was quite good. And even just then, he walks through the smashing the mirrors and moving the family and putting them back where they were before. All of that was in the book, in the unabridged book. So it was great, because I've never read the books before, and I'm still not reading.
Well, effectively, are.
I can't actually read, that's my problem, so I need people to read to me with audiobooks. But I loved and thought how impressive it was, the attention shown to the places and the detail of that murder scene within this show. And of course, that's what 6 hours, 7 hours will allow now, is that great interrogation of the detail of the book, which is so good, I think.
I must get details from you and do the same.
But the thing is, I was watching the episode going, I wish I hadn't read the book.
Maybe after.
Yeah, so I might actually just park it now and wait till after the end of season 3.
I nearly said season 4. Yeah,
I know. But it's really, it was amazing how faithful it was, actually. It was really good. But it was a big murder scene. It really was. And again, I think it's just made more so by the fact that it involves children. And I suppose the tableau then, they all have these pieces of broken, smashed mirror over their eyes and in their mouth. And it is this part of his transformation that he wants to become this all-powerful red dragon, or the devil.
I love it when Will said, so he could see himself in them. So, because you're thinking, is it like the pennies on the eyes or something? Is he trying to do something?
Yeah.
That harks back to something else, like from years ago. And then it's like, no, it's not. Will said it's just so he can see himself when he's looking at them, which is very strange. Anyway, obviously the whole thing is very strange. But. And
I don't know, but I think the focus on the female, obviously he has sexual repression from what I remember from the film, The Red Dragon. Like there's a sexual naivety to him, But the painting that he is basing himself on, that has given him this inspiration, involves the red dragon's, spiked tail wrapping round the woman at his feet. So it's very much that masculine dominancy of male against female, which again I think is why he focuses in on the women, on the mothers, on the wives of the families that he attacks, I think. But I don't know what do you
Why
reckon?
do they have to be dead first, though? I suppose, I don't know, it's probably, maybe you'd be better off, I suppose it depends, seeing as they found a piece of mirror in her labia.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably deaf. And a fingerprint on her eye, so, yeah, probably better off dead, really.
Yeah, that actually was the biggest cringe moment of this. Well, I shouldn't really say that. It was the next best cringe moment, or the next, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe they're doing that, which was lifting the fingerprint off the eye. I know the lady was dead tragically, but I still couldn't help but think, oh my goodness, what would that be like, having sellotape pull and probably not even sellotape, probably something about 100 times more powerful to lift the print off the eyeball. I was like, oh my goodness.
And
was
the eyelid
cringy.
clamped back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
It's pretty impressive, though.
It was very impressive. That is excellent forensic work, definitely, by two people who have returned. I think with that, we should move on to our meal. Irene, do you have any little nibbles that you want to enjoy for your entree?
Oh, yes. I'm in for the long haul. My entree, I had to mention Alanna and Chilton. Their conversation in Alanna's office in her new position.
Yes.
When they're talking about the book that Hannibal is writing about himself. And Alanna says it's a rebuttal to Chilton's book. And he says, oh, well, who's going to take the word of a mental patient, of somebody who's committed, basically. And Alanna says, it will count and it will sting because you lied.
Yeah.
Well, she says we lied first.
Yeah,
and then
we
she says,
lied.
you wrote a book of lies. I was like, wow. I can't wait to read it.
I know.
Because if Hannibal is telling the truth about everything that he did, but that also means then that he's telling the truth about everything that everybody else did as well. So what I was thinking was, does that mean that William is in big trouble? Basically. Is he going to dump everybody in it?
Well, you never... Yeah. I thought that conversation was really, really good because, yeah, the whole notion that they've both lied, that they've, in a sense, they've all lied. I mean, even Jack and Will, when Jack turns up at Will's home, I think in episode 1 or episode 2 of this season, he says, well, the FBI line is such and such and such, two people, trying to protect the US, the community, the state, from this cannibal, were attacked, brutalized, and managed to survive. This notion that Will phoned ahead to warn Hannibal, all those aspects of it are all being kept, top secret, all being kept under wraps, away from the media, from the news, and so on. And so that, again, just added more that they both lied. And primarily it could be that he is criminally insane, is one aspect that they both know from a professional basis that he isn't. He's actually quite rational. He's quite measured in what he does and why he does it. And I thought that was really, really interesting. I like the whole notion that Chilton is almost kind of saying that Hannibal has had his day, that he goes, Hannibal the Cannibal, the book that he wrote is it's an old book, that this new book being called The Tooth Fairy, which is Francis Dolarhyde's nickname in the press, is that, he is going to have a universal appeal, and that Hannibal only had a niche appeal because of his fussy aesthetics. I actually took that as a slight dig, potentially. I don't know. I might be reading too much into it. No, a slight dig at maybe the network for cancelling them. That,
Ooh.
that they thought that Hannibal has a niche appeal because of his, maybe the fussy aesthetics and all this kind of stuff. And a bit like we discussed earlier, that maybe it's not as accessible, not as universal in its appeal as other shows could be. I kind of took a bit of that, but
well, it's not brain off telly, which is sometimes all people are looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's an investment.
It really is an investment, but it's an investment that pays you back in absolute spades. But I like that whole conversation, that not only did they both lie, but Chilton, in his new kind of capacity as an author of describing serial killers, says the young Turk might make the old Lithuanian keep himself interesting.
Yeah.
This notion that, let's start to maybe just entice him in with a few little snippets of this case, and we might get him to start becoming interesting again, rather than sitting in his rather plush cell. I hasten to add. I mean, if I was going to be locked up, I wouldn't mind being locked up in a neoclassical room with a glass perspex front. I
didn't know if that was real or not.
I know what you mean.
The way he was picturing his office, and I was going, is it actually very bare with just a bare table and, the glass in front of him, and he has no privacy? But I know, because when he was picturing himself sitting in his office, and then it kind of faded and you could see, it looked like you could see what was actually there. There was still, you're right, there was still little embellishments. So, but I don't know.
Yeah, but it had kind of been pared back. It had been simplified further from... That was when he was speaking with Alanna, wasn't it? Yeah, I know. And it's not really clarified as to whether he's still... or whether that representation of his cell is a representation of the cell in Hannibal's mind, or whether it's reality.
Yeah, how much is memory palace and how much is actually his cell.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, it was a really interesting little thing just to see that. As you say, already we're seeing that confinement of Hannibal in that classic cell, at least with the perspex front. I love that. Yeah. Probably not perspex. It's probably a damn sight stronger than perspex.
Kevlar. Transparent Kevlar.
Made from cling film.
Now don't rip it. Good boy. And what about you, John, for your entree?
My entree, actually, mine's a bit meaty. I have to say, mine is essentially the inspiration for the Great Red Dragon. I'm kind of going to entitle this Tats and Teeth. It's what drives, it's that first 15 minutes, the thing that kind of drives Francis Dolarhyde to want to do the changes in his body, work out, become more muscular, to get that tattoo, to get the false teeth with the different, the kind of the more incisory bite, and that is ultimately William Blake's paintings. He was a poet from Britain, and he did a series of these Great Red Dragon paintings. So I never knew this, actually, that there are actually 4 of these. There is the number of the beast is 666, the Great Red Dragon and the Beast from the Sea, the Great Red Dragon and the Woman Clothed with the Sun, and the Great Red Dragon and the Woman Clothed in the Sun. And this was all a commissioned piece of hundreds of paintings intended to illustrate the books of the Bible. And this selection, these 4 paintings, all depict the Great Red Dragon in various scenes from the Book of Revelation, and obviously the Great Red Dragon being identified as the devil, as Satan. And the one that is used and is depicted on his back, and the one that gives him the inspiration is the great red dragon and the woman clothed in the sun, which is where she's lying at his feet, and the satanic tail with the point is wrapped around her, and ultimately that's the Redeemer's mother, and he's trying to seize and destroy the schemes of Mary, the Virgin Mary figure. And it also stands for the church and for Israel, apparently, and Blake's sort of that threatening, powerful display with the tails and the wings and the horned heads. That's all this threatening display against Christ, God, the Virgin Mary, the church, all this kind of stuff, and his plan to sort of threaten mankind and so on. So that's the whole kind of reason behind it, and it's the Dolarhyde fixation with the strength and power that this dragon seems to exude, this evil, this devil that brings him to want to sort of transform himself, literally and metaphorically, into this fairly disturbing image and concept, I suppose.
'Cause when he's sitting at the table, I know obviously that's, the 3 years earlier, and he's sitting at the table and it looks like he's in a prison or an institution, and he's writing or reading, I think, sorry, I'm picturing it in my head. And he looks quite scrawny. He's thin, he's narrow enough shoulders, and his face is very thin, his hair is like slicked right back, and then when you see the muscle of the man that is contorting his hands and hanging from the pull-up bars, it's just like, oh my god, like what did he have to do to himself to get like that? Like, I know he's had 3 years, but that's some transformation.
But that's it. It's like that. Obviously, going to the tattooist to get this huge depiction of the red dragon on his back. Getting the incised kind of dragon teeth, and obviously he likes to bite. He's a biter.
But he's clever enough not to do it himself.
Yeah, and then it's all that hallucination, it's really, really good, I think. But I thought that we needed to just bring a bit of background to this painting that sort of influences Francis Dolarhyde, basically.
He's obviously he's obsessed with it. And he does look so powerful, and he's becoming the dragon with the contortions and the way he's on all fours on the ground, and it's really impressive that they managed to do that with. He doesn't say a word. There's no sound. Brilliant.
And I love his split lip, or his cut lip that they've given him as well. I just think that adds a menace to the character even more so. Just that is amazing. Like a really, 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 really interesting. But I must say, if I was sat in a diner and someone started doing the hands like a dragon wing, I would run. I would run. I'd probably
now.
I'd phone the police. I'd probably phone the police or the FBI or something myself, to be honest. Byron, what's your main course after that fairly substantial opening?
My main course was actually, it's kind of what you just said. I was going to talk about the transformation over the 3 years, and the fact that, if I'm presuming, when it hasn't been wrong so far that we know of, if that's exactly what he did, and putting the bite marks there, but not actually biting himself. Because obviously, their forensics are very proud of themselves that they've managed to reconstruct the teeth, and they're so distinctive. And he says he's a snaggletooth son of a bitch, and then you see the teeth sitting there. It's like, that's the teeth. Okay, they're not his teeth. Obviously, he's too clever to do that. I don't know. I just think it's a great creation. I can't wait to see them portraying it like on the screen.
Like, there's that transformation, or the beginnings of it, as we've said, kind of him working out in his loft, him getting his new gnashers, obviously the tattoo. I mean, he looks so different to Thorin Oakenshield that he played in The Hobbit, but it's such a great intro, and it builds. It's even, I loved the cut where he's obviously just come out of a house in suburbia, and I presume it's the Leeds family, and it's the blood on the snow.
Yeah.
You know, and you see it sort of captured in the moon as well, like a reflection of the moon, and there's that whole thing of the lunar cycle in play, and I presume that's because the moon is the opposite of the sun. It's representative of night. You know, you have the woman in the sun in the painting, so the moon is the ally of Satan, you know, darkness, and so on. But he does all that clicking. I mean, it sounded like a dinosaur from Jurassic World to me. It was really, really creepy. But I thought it was amazing. I was absolutely kind of captivated. It was kind of a cross between the dinosaur noises and kind of bird noises. And I was just like, you know, and then he starts smashing the glass up in his a loft apartment. And, you know,
we know what happened when he broke the mirrors in the house, so
exactly, that fragmented reflection. You know, is it also about him being fragmented as a person, that he is inherently human, but he's trying to transcend that humanity to be something bigger, greater, more powerful, the Red Dragon. Like, it's an amazing, I mean, I don't know, I suppose you could psychoanalyze it till he blew in the face, and I mean, we don't even have the tools to do that.
I think it's safe to say he's cracked, like.
Yeah, he's off to a fancy dress party. He's taking his invite to a fancy dress party of, come as anything you want to. I know, I'll transform into a Red Dragon.
He takes these things very seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what he was like last year? Like, oh.
You can imagine, though, someone opening the door going, and now, Francis, what have you come as?
Yeah.
You don't look... A dragon?
Sort yourself out, man, would you? No, just because you do that with your hands doesn't mean, oh my God, what have you done to your back?
Yeah. And then, 2 hours into the party, will you stop smashing the mirrors?
3 years into the party, the FBI are there.
But, like, I love this transformation. I thought it was incredible. I mean, it was, certainly the noises were just, like, really creepy.
Very unnerving.
And then you have those hallucinations. I mean, the one where he transforms into the projector, I thought that was brilliant. Fantastic.
Yeah, it looked great.
Yeah. He should have gone to the fancy dress party as a projector. but it was amazing. And he obviously doesn't like the nickname, the Tooth Fairy, because I love the fact that he blacked it out and scribbled it out, with the marker pen. I thought that was like a real nice touch, because I think it was soon after Chilton talking about his new book and the title of it, and you're just like, oh, fantastic. He hates that nickname because that's the last thing he wants to be known as. That's like also, it's kind of, it's like Hulk Hogan suddenly being, known as, Mr. Weedy or something like that.
Yeah, there is a reason, and it's kind of your own fault that people are calling you that.
Yeah, stop biting.
Fairy, maybe not, though. Maybe, I don't know. Because he's so strong and, the dragon thing. And then you have people going, the Tooth Fairy. Friendly to children.
Yeah, I know. That hallucination, though, is really good. And, he hears the voices or in his head or in that loft space. And again, really good, that kind of change into into his psychosis of wanting to transform into the Red Dragon. Yeah, I loved as well Richard Armitage's portrayal of Dolarhyde is fantastic here. I thought really
he's
good.
A singular actor. He's proper character actor. You know, if you saw him stills of each of his films, you'd be, you know, one of those things you'd be going, no, that is the same person. Like, you know, to people.
Yeah, like Ralph Fiennes, you know, plays him really well also. But I think Richard Armitage's portrayal of Francis Dolarhyde is really good. It'd be interesting to see how it develops over the course of the next few episodes. But I mean, this introduction to him, I mean, I thought was done really, really well, and felt fresh.
Even the bits where there's no props, nothing really happening. He's not speaking, as we've already said. When he's just there and the growling starts and he's, you know, clutching his head. I mean, that's never good. No. Nothing good has ever come from somebody doing that.
It's not, is it?
No. But it's like he's just building the atmosphere on his own, obviously, because there's nothing else. Like, there's only him and that look on his face. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Bring on the next episode.
Mm.
And what about you, John, for your main course?
My main course is definitely, and I'm going to say this without a shadow of a doubt, was just the reuniting of Will and Hannibal at the end of the episode, and also the visit of Jack to Will. It's that reuniting of those three big protagonists from the first part of this season, and of course from seasons 1 and 2. And I just thought it's a really good way of doing it. I thought having Jack visit Will, obviously to get him on board, that's a huge moment. That he's essentially saying, you need to come back and sort this out. You know, you won't forgive yourself. You see the slight manipulation of Will by Jack, you know, where he's like saying, you won't forgive yourself if you see, you know, the next newspaper with another murder.
I did think that. And I thought Will is clever. Like, he's very clever. He's seeing right through that. But it doesn't stop him knowing that's true, that he would be devastated if he didn't try.
And it's even that, like, Molly, Will's wife here, is like, she knows that that Will is going to go with Jack. And she's like, you know, she wants assurances that he'll be safe. She's kind of releasing Will, not necessarily because she wants to, but she just knows that Jack will use him, Jack will take him anyway.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
she kind of knows that he has to as well, because he
that's
won't be able to live with himself. Like.
Yeah, and I mean, that's quite dark of Jack, actually. It is manipulative. Like, personally, I would much prefer to stay in a gorgeous looking log cabin in a gorgeous looking setting, you know, you with the love of your life next to a lake with all your dogs around, then probably start to, like, deteriorate my mental health again by having to go in and walk in the footsteps of a psychotic killer and murderer.
Which is what Jack knows he's facing. Like, Jack knows that's exactly what Will coming out of retirement is. It's him putting his mental health back. I know he wasn't well as well. Like, you know, it was a bit physical, but he was suffering. You could see that from the very start of season 1. It was taken from him every time he had to go and do that, you know. This is my design and recreate the scene. It's devastating for him, like. And
definitely.
Even like Jack's like, you don't want to talk inside, you don't want to let me inside. And Will's like, well, why let the cold stop what common sense couldn't? Like, you know, Jack knows, like.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what you're here asking me to do, and you're still here asking me to do it. And I was thinking, Jack said, I'm going to Europe for Will, you know, not for Hannibal. And you're going, well, really? Because now look what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Leave him be. I mean, you are kind of shouting, going, just leave him be, let him be happy after what he's been through, you know.
I mean, he's obviously gotten married completely on the rebound from Hannibal. You said the love of his life, you know, we can only hope. Her son, Walter, like, who names a child Walter, we didn't see much of him, so obviously, you know, I need to shut up and wait for more background on all of that, but if we get it. But Yeah,
Well,
like you said,
Walter's
he's
from a
built this little
previous
life.
marriage or an ex, isn't he?
Well, either that or he's the fastest growing child. Oh, he's
Well,
very big
yeah,
for three.
exactly. Yeah,
Very big for
exactly.
three.
But you never know. Maybe Molly is actually kind of a Buffalo Bill type, slings it between the legs.
Oh, you've just ruined it. There's the twist for the end of
There's
the
the
season.
twist. He's still got a bromance, but on the weekdays, it's slung up. Transvestite. Or transvestite, who knows? Could be.
Walter's half dragon.
I must say, on a side, like, I do think that scene in Silence of the Lambs with Buffalo Bill in front of the mirror is just incredible. I mean, creepy, but amazing. It's just so good. And, well, no, Molly isn't like that, but
Well, she said to Will, he said, what if things have changed when I come back? And she's like, well, I won't, like.
Yeah, that was a nice
That was
line.
really nice.
Yeah.
She's like, no, go. We'll be here when you come back,
Yeah. I thought that was a really nice line, actually. And of course, he goes to, and this will segue nicely into Will visiting Hannibal, but he goes to the letter that Hannibal has written for him, has a nice little read over it and then burns it, doesn't he? He chucks it in the fire. But at the end, we have that Will says, I must see Hannibal. And I just think this contrasts so nicely with the last episode where they're being ripped apart. And obviously Hannibal has the nod, which is, I will go, I'm surrendering. You will be able to find me if you ever need me, and you will need me, that kind of thing.
And Will's like, no, I won't think about you. I won't remember anything. I won't be thinking about you at all. And it's like someone saying, I don't want to get back with you, but they do. So, because he's like, I burned your letter. It doesn't mean nothing to me.
Exactly. You're kind of like going, Molly, handcuff him to the bed, feed it, like do a misery type thing, because he shouldn't be going, and hanging around with these type of men who will put him into murdery situations where he must become and empathize with the nutbag.
Yeah. And he's very good at it.
He's very good at it.
I wonder, does she know about the deer man?
Oh, I know. But I think, because of everything we know about this bromance, when Will comes in and meets Hannibal at the Baltimore State Hospital, fantastic. Such a great scene. And it just has so much meaning because of these two characters and what we know about them. So that, to me, all this reuniting of these three principal characters, the holy trinity of Hannibal. Brilliant.
I couldn't believe it stopped there, though. I was like, say something, come on, at least have your first. I suppose
Kiss.
Obviously it's brilliant that it's it's through the glass.
Oh, go on, snog. Whilst it destroys every woman's dream, it brings alive most gay men's dream.
Oh, I wouldn't say everyone's. Anyway.
Moving on. So, dessert whilst I choke on a buttery carrot.
Winnable.
Winnable. Exactly. So, what's for dessert, Irene?
My dessert was the Will and Hannibal. Sorry.
Oh my goodness, I'm stealing all your food off your plate.
I only put it as my dessert and not my main course because I did want to talk about Winnable. But I put it as my dessert because it ended like that. And most of it would be as it just was, about Will and the lead up to it and how he ended up going to see him. But I really liked his letter. Like, he's like, we've found our new life, but our old lives harbour in the shadows. Like, because Will had said he wasn't going to remember him and he wasn't going to talk about him, but he can't escape it. Like, it's what happened, and who he is who he is, and his talent is what it is, So I really liked that. Like, and Hannibal, we're saying Jack was being manipulative, but obviously Hannibal is as well. So it seems to be like he's kind of doing the old reverse psychology there.
Yeah, this is definitely Hannibal almost going, this is my design. I
Yeah.
expected you to come back to me.
In your face,
Yeah.
mofo. He should have said, "This is my design." That would have been very passive aggressive.
I'm sorry for pinching your chips off your plate.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
Or the cream off the top of your pie.
I'm too full anyway, really. You know.
Like, my dessert really is, it was great to see the forensic team of Price and Zeller return.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, they are one member short, given that she was chopped up, or should I say, precisely sliced up, like a Damien Hirst art installation. But we have the return of Price and Zeller, and I just thought it was really nice to see them back on the screen. I love that, these are clever guys. These are excellent forensic scientists being called in to investigate this, at the request of Crawford. And they start to lift prints from, the eyeball. And I was like, oh my God. Then prints from cheese, all this kind of stuff. Really good. I mean, and maybe they were responsible for the whole blood spatter
Oh yeah, I
string
they
as
were the
well.
one with the string. Yeah.
Which slightly reminded me of Dexter as well. So it was all like, I was just like, this is a, forensic scientist dream of having these two back on here. And it was great to see. So it's just a small dessert, but I really liked seeing them back in action, finding out, getting the evidence, the forensic evidence. It was really good. I mean, I'd love to know whether it is actually possible to lift a print from an eyeball, or whether that is just a fiction created for the story. But I mean, nonetheless, brilliant.
It might have been helped by the talc. Maybe he had talc on his finger when he touched her eye, maybe.
That's true. Look at you being all forensic-y. Yeah.
I like these kinds of shows, you can tell.
Do you boil your kettle on a Bunsen burner?
I don't. But that's a great idea.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Clicks onto Amazon.
I have a conical flask that I use as a wine decanter.
They look basically the same.
Exactly. So I just thought it'd be interesting to do it one time for a party. So I still have it. I still have like a 2-litre conical flask.
I'm measuring precisely how much I'm drinking. How many milliliters of wine would you like?
I know. Oh dear. What you do for parties, eh? Anyway.
It's better than the Unicum.
Well, damn sight better than that Unicum. Oh my God. The Hungarians have got a lot to answer for, actually, for inventing a drink so disgusting and with such a dubious name that it makes it into another podcast of ours. I mean, it will live in infamy. Infamy. Unicum's got it infamy. Ah, gee.
It's the tonic, though. I think it shocks your system so much because of the really strong herby taste.
Well, in fairness, there was a lot of shocking to the system in this episode, to be honest. Would you care for a little coffee with maybe a little shot of Unicum or a shot of grappa to steady the old nerves?
Oh, I think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially every time I picture Richard Armitage's the eyes, the look on his face.
I know.
Could do with a fair of ranking myself.
I know. That was, Richard Armitage, he makes it into our main course and he makes it into our notes as well. He was yummy.
Oh, he's seriously impressive.
Yeah, he was really good. The other thing that was impressive, or the other character, this time an inanimate character, which I thought was impressive, and I was really happy that it was there, was that the Baltimore State Hospital for the Criminally Insane showed up, looking brilliant. Like, I've always loved that. I wanted, there was a t-shirt, Last Exit to Nowhere, which is a big t-shirt store for film references. So, it's got like Coney Island. It has all these references to different films, and they had the Baltimore State Hospital for the criminally insane t-shirt. And I always wanted to get it, and then I think they stopped producing them, and I was like, oh no.
You could probably still get one somewhere.
Yeah, but Francis Dolarhyde may have worn it.
John's birthday is not too far away. If anybody would like to send him
wink,
a Baltimore
nudge, nudge.
State Hospital t-shirt.
But no, I always wanted it because, again, just because it's so iconic as a frame of reference from Silence of the Lambs, and the home that Abigail is kept in, it didn't seem quite as impressive. I think they've changed location, but I might be wrong. But this looked like a proper mental hospital, and it was really good. Loved it. I loved seeing it. I don't know why. There's something about the Baltimore State Hospital for the criminal insane. Like, they don't make institutions like that these days.
No, far too cushy.
It would be the Coca-Cola fizzy pop hospital for, those who've had too much carbon dioxide and sugar. I don't know. It's just weird, that they have to sponsor places now instead of giving them a good old meaty sort of public sector name like the Baltimore State Hospital for the criminally insane.
Well, local government doesn't have the funds anymore, John.
Yeah, no women or children allowed. That's it's an R-rated institution, isn't it, really? It's proper bad. It's an 18s, I think.
Hopefully by the time you're being sent there, though, I don't mean by the time you're being sent there, that sounds like something I think is going to happen.
Well, probably if someone listens in on this podcast and me talking about a Baltimore State Hospital like it's a person, they'll probably go, okay, this, get the straight jacket, call the van, this guy needs to go in it. But no, that's one of my notes was that was there. And I suppose my other one was actually, it was really good to see Molly. I didn't know whether we were going to see Molly or even Walter the kid, because I thought, is 3 years too short? Will he have met her and so on? And I thought that, I don't know, because I haven't read the books fully and I haven't audiobooked it yet to that point, but I don't know whether Walter is actually Will's kid in the books. Here, Walter is most definitely not Will's child. I think it's from another marriage or an ex, but it was good to see Molly. I'm glad they introduced her, and I thought it was really good to see.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting that Will is now a husband and a stepfather.
Yeah.
It's another thing, because obviously you're always concerned for him when he's going into situations, or even I suppose when he's going to talk to Hannibal, but it's a whole other level now. There are people who really care if he, not that they didn't really care, but everybody was in danger themselves, I suppose. But he was flying solo for a lot of it, and Chio obviously couldn't be trusted, even though we weren't really sure what she was doing for some of the time, what side she was on. But now he's, will they just not hear from him now until he's finished with this case? Because he's obviously not staying there. They showed him in a kind of a motel room.
I'm sure we will be back with Molly at some point, but maybe not for a while.
Sorry, Daddy Will.
I know. But I also, that moment where he's reading Hannibal's letter, and even Hannibal, that's one of my other notes. I love the fact that Hannibal forewarns in a letter whenever he wrote it about, don't step through the door that Jack holds open. It's dark on the other side, madness. He kind of knew that Jack would have to come back and approach him. It's again, it's all paced out in his mind, and that's really, that's just amazing. And then the final note that I have is I just like the nice, the dog comments. Will is a big, lover of dogs. He's got all the strays, all the left behind dogs, all the puppies. And when he finds out that, the Leeds family, where he goes back to retrace the steps of the killer, had a dog, he asks, what happens to the dog? And then Will asks, what's going to happen to the dog? And Jack goes, "Don't worry about the dog, Will." And it's just like there's a nice little interchange there, this idea that Will is suddenly, his focus is on the poor dog, not the poor family. Just for a split second. It's a really nice little scene, I thought. And just again, it's that nice character continuity of Will and his love of rescuing animals, and particularly dogs. Like
it's kind of, it's like, yeah, he would say that. And he goes, "Yeah, I will worry about it, Jack. You know I will, look." And I thought he was actually, I was going to offer to take him, but sure he can't because he's not going home himself, like, and maybe he will. I like to think he will.
But I think then onto the table. I think we have 2 items for the table, don't we?
Both of them as nice as each other.
Both of them as nice as each other. We have the Hannibal and Alanna chit-chat in his mind palace, where they're drinking white wine, I think, and he's asking her, "Do you prefer beer or wine?" And she goes, "I stopped drinking wine after what you put in it." And he just corrects her with a nice little retort with "whom I put in it."
Yeah.
It was just like, thank you, Alanna, for bringing that sly dog or Hannibal back to the fore. I love that dry, dark sense of humor that is there in Hannibal. Just a really nice scene, and I think that's then carried on to the next table item.
That's like, even in her beer, he was putting.
I dread to think.
Must have been blood. Like
who knows?
It doesn't even. You're right. Yeah, I dread to think. Yeah, even that's not safe.
Yeah, but like, even then you have the Hannibal and the Dr. Chilton chit-chat as well. And we have the talk about the sanguinato dolce, the blood and chocolate, a traditional dessert made with almond milk, chocolate, and then obviously traditionally it's pig's blood, but now it's cow's blood. And I love the fact that Chilton's there kind of eating it, going, didn't you serve this to me previously? You can see the memory coming back to him, and he goes, "And when you last made it for me, was it made with cow's milk? Was it made with cow's blood?" And he goes, "The last time I served it to you, only in the derogatory sense, was it with a cow?" And you're like, which poor female ended up in the sanguinato dolce previously?
I really felt ill at that moment because I had been watching, you're watching it being prepared and it looks like some kind of a really nice hot chocolate. And then when he said that, I was like, "Oh, they're putting wine in it or something." And then he said that and I was like, "Oh, I can't believe I actually was like, oh, I might make that. I must look up that. And then he said that. I was like, "Oh."
I know.
Yeah.
I was the same. I was thinking, oh, this must be like a chocolate orange dessert, because it was served in like a blood orange, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, there's the clue, I suppose.
I thought it was churros first.
Yeah, and I was like thinking, oh, this is a nice kind of thick mousse, velvety. Probably you can only have a little bit of it. And then essentially it's like a disgusting hybrid of a black pudding and a chocolate dessert.
Disgusting. Oh.
It's black pudding chocolate dessert. I mean, I love black pudding. But I do like a bit of congealed blood in a pig's intestine.
I don't, but yeah.
With a few bits of its fat. I think that's because I'm from the north of England, but
at least you're expecting it then, though. You're
no,
not
I wasn't, though.
Oh, you weren't?
I was the same. I just thought it was a nice, sweet, chocolatey orange dessert. And I was thinking, I must get a Terry's chocolate orange. and then
you're, "Oh no, I'm okay."
Yeah, and then it's like, you've put what in the chocolate? Okay, I can just about maybe get my head around, strawberries and cracked pepper. Black pepper.
Yeah, and balsamic vinegar. Yeah, that's
but,
nice.
I don't know about pig's blood or cow's blood
trying
or any form of blood, being put into chocolate.
No, it's a disgusting idea.
Yeah, but it looked nice. But
it looked lovely.
on the magical reveal, it was shown to be too bloody.
Even for Hannibal. There are moments when I go, really? Why am I obsessed with this show?
But it was a good, I must say, that was a really good, again, another great little quip back from Hannibal to Chilton. You know,
I
and
like the
Chilton,
discomfort.
yeah, and Chilton deserves it, like, in fairness.
He does, yeah, in fairness.
So, yeah, no, that was really, really good. So, Irene, this episode of Hannibal, the Great Red Dragon, would you be leaving a tip or will you be returning to the restaurant?
I would definitely be returning. As much as I want the story to move on, I think I'm actually going to watch this episode again before I watch the next one. Just for Richard Armitage and my introduction to Francis Dolarhyde. I think Chilton is right. He's a 4-quadrant killer.
Yes.
He's just 4-quadrant actor as well.
Yeah. No, really good. Yeah, me too. I think this. I basically would give this 4.5 sanguinato dolces out of 5. This was bloody. It was graphic in terms of the transformation. I loved the Blake painting being so sort of upfront and obvious at the start. I loved Richard Armitage's portrayal of Francis Dolarhyde, the hallucinations, the transformation. I thought the beginning of it. I thought the murder scene, the tableau, like, you know, it was almost like a traditional homicide that you would see on any TV program, but then just everything behind it that makes it different from anything that you would see on TV is fantastic. I love the fact that we see the return of Price and Zeller. We see the return of the Baltimore State Hospital. We have Will, Hannibal, Jack reunited, you know, in not necessarily always pleasant ways. I mean, Jack manipulative there, but then Will and Hannibal are seemingly kind of pleased at least to see one another, at least now that there's, 5 inches of perspex in between the two of them. And then just the whole thing about Chilton and Alanna. I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, that's a really good way of seeing another perspective of Hannibal. I mean, Chilton just sees him as money, a money bag. You know, Alanna still very much a woman scorned as to what's happened to her. And maybe she's even regretting having let him go at Mason Verger's. But a great episode, I thought. And on that, you know, I'd be definitely giving it 4.5 out of 5 sanguinato dolces, or bloody chocolate orange.
I'm not surprised you couldn't finish it. That's why it's 4.5.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, with that, I just, again, thank you so much everyone for listening. Remember, we are live tweeting the episodes of Hannibal as they are broadcast on Sky Living in Ireland and the UK on a Wednesday evening. We, of course, of course, please follow us at TV Pod Industries on Twitter. Tweet at us, join in. We'd love to have you involved. And of course, you can listen to us on iTunes and any other good podcast catcher. Search TV Podcast Industries, search Hannibal on TV Podcast Industries, and we will appear there in the podcast catcher, appear in iTunes. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this from you, the Fannibals. So please send in your feedback at tvpodcastindustries.com. I think with that, I'd like to say a big thank you for listening, and we will be back in a week's time.
Thanks very much for listening, everybody.
Ciao.
Ciao, Bella.
I am one of your cowering, dragony hosts, John.
And I'm your other equally cowering dragon, Irene.
And I'm the red dragon. But a female dragon, obviously. I'm the male dragon, you're the female dragon.